edition. Welcome to the Hump Day edition of the Angela Ray Show. I hope that you all have had a great day. I know my day was fantabulous. I got up way earlier than I intended to, but you know what? I think that's why I actually got some things done today. For those of you who are catching this broadcast on the replay, thank you so much for hanging out with us on the Angela Ray Show. I certainly appreciate your support. Shout out to all of you who are catching this broadcast over on Twitter and Periscope. You are relatively still new to the Angela Ray Show. We just started broadcasting on Periscope last week. So thank you so much for hanging out. We hope that you will stay plugged in, stay tuned in. You know, we always try to bring on some phenomenal guests that entertain, educate, and enlighten. And tonight is no different. If this is your first time here, especially if this is your first time this week, we're in the midst of the series, Leading My Best Life. It's all about leadership and looking at leadership through a non-traditional lens. I decided to do this series in conjunction with the relaunch of my book, Megastar Student Leadership, Lessons I Learned as an Actress That Can Help You Lead, Achieve, and Succeed. It's a leadership book that I created based off lessons I've learned in entertainment, adapting those lessons for student leaders. And of course, this is a different kind of year for all students around the world, and definitely wanted to make this book available to students, to parents, and to teachers and professors as a resource. It is definitely designed specifically for high school and college students. For those of you who are catching the broadcast on the replay, again, thank you so much for your support. If you are going to be watching with us live tonight, do me a favor. Go ahead and slide in those comments. Let me know what you had for dinner, if you've had dinner yet. I know that those of you on the West Coast, it's only 5 p.m. Many of you may have just finished a very late lunch. But if you've already had dinner, or if you're on the West Coast and you just had lunch, let me know what you had. I had a great meal tonight. I think it's why I'm so excited and I'm so hyper. It took me back home. We won't say what I ate because it may not have been that healthy, but that's okay. Definitely made me feel great. As always, we get the party started here with our Ray of Motivation moment. And for tonight's Ray of Motivation moment, I came across a quote. I think it's Jerry. I don't remember his last name, but I do want to acknowledge this is not my quote. But the quote says, sometimes you have to create what you want to be a part of. Sometimes you have to create what you want to be a part of. And honestly, I can truly say that is why the Angela Ray Show exists. For many years, I have been working with other producers, other showrunners, other talented people who had their own shows, whether those were online, whether they were televised, and it was an enjoyable process. I'm really grateful for the first person who took a risk on me, just having seen me honestly do a poem, and after seeing me perform some spoken word at an event, asked me to be a part of this show that he had. So I'm grateful for the opportunity. But what I found is that I was always waiting for the phone to ring, always waiting for someone to call me to take an assignment. And for me at heart, what I absolutely love is I love telling stories. It's what I do when I do poetry. Telling stories is what I do when I have speaking engagements and I'm engaged with people. I'm telling stories. And of course, when I'm on stage or I'm on television or in a movie, I am telling stories. And hosting my own television show or hosting any type of show is just bringing light to someone else's stories. And I just realized that is something that I've been passionate about for a number of years, but I kept waiting for other people to give me an opportunity to use my gift. And so finally, I created my own, actually a few years ago. And unfortunately, the location where I was shooting was no longer available. Found the location in February of 2020. And just like many of you, we had to pivot because of the pandemic. So I'm very excited to have this new platform to share. And I just want to remind you that sometimes you have to create what you want to be a part of. And that is tonight's Ray of Motivation moment. Well, again, I mentioned that we are in the middle of a leadership series, Leading My Best Life. And tonight, I'm excited to have another talented leader in the world of education and specifically theater education. Ursula O. Robinson is the drama program coordinator and a tenured professor of drama at South Carolina State University, where she cultivates and molds young dreamers into accomplished artists. She is an award winning playwright, and she's also the artistic director of Ursula O. Robbins Productions, a comprehensive artistic company that creates tailor made works of art that heal, entertain, as well as educate. So it is definitely my honor to have Lady U Drama on the Angela Ray Show tonight. Ursula, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Angela. It is a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally got a chance to collaborate. Oh, thank you so much,
Yes.
Edwin. I appreciate that compliment. Edwin is one of my very loyal supporters here at the Angela Ray Show.
I know. And look, Edwin came up and I was like, oh.
He talking about both of us, girl. He talking
Yeah,
about
okay. Look, I was absorbing all of that. Oh,
he giving a shout out to the both of us. Oh, so you
okay.
have frozen lasagna and Moscato from the dollar
Okay.
store. Wait a minute, they have dollars. They have Moscato at the dollar store, girl.
Hey, I don't
Wait a
know what
minute.
dollar store he went to, honey, but honey, more power to him. Honey, a dollar Moscato in that wild Irish rose. Oh, just
Oh no.
yeah,
Oh
it could
no.
be. No, okay.
Maybe he
But it
meant
can make you
Dollar
feel that way.
General, not Dollar Tree. He did say Dollar
Oh,
Store, and
dollar store.
oftentimes when I hear Dollar Store, I automatically go to Dollar Tree. But Dollar General is a dollar store. Family Dollar is a dollar.
Right. It is.
So
Definitely is.
sometimes you can find the real bang up stuff in the
Oh
Dollar Tree.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Love it.
every now and then you
I
can find.
love Dollar Tree DIY.
Oh,
Love it.
you find some do it yourself stuff there?
I love doing stuff. Just taking uh, a vase and you glue it to the top of a candle holder, a crystal
Hmm.
candle holder, and you put
Right.
some bling on it, and now it's a vase that stands up like this and it's different and it's all that. So I love doing that kind of stuff like that. I love doing crafts and everything. And there's a lot of people go and decorate the entire home with dollar store stuff from the Dollar Tree or from dollar stores and stuff, because there's so many different kind of dollar stores. But I like watching those videos and see what people do.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
It's pretty amazing too because last year I think it was put in my mailbox by mistake. They have a catalog like for the holidays. There's a catalog where you can actually order stuff so that they have everything from your chargers for your nice displays for
Yes.
holiday dinners and then your
Yes.
coordinated napkins and then I was like, oh, so you can
Yes.
catalog to order like really large portion sizes.
Right. Yes. And you can do so much with so little. And I watch people who now I know this lady, oh my goodness, with her DIY, she's
Hmm.
made furniture. She takes cardboard and different stuff she finds from the Dollar Tree and
Hmm.
makes furniture. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Wow.
that you can sit on. I mean, you can actually use it.
Uh-huh.
Right. And I was like, oh man, this is awesome. Now, I don't know if I would go that far to do that, but it is really interesting to watch. Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Little Shalonda acting up on me tonight. Hold on, y'all. Forgive me. Shalonda's having a moment of her own, honey, but that's all right.
That's
We good.
Yolanda.
It's so oh, thank you, Mr. Edwin. I appreciate that. It's been so long since I had a chance to get dolled up and put on put on layers of makeup and do all the great stuff that you do to go on camera. And so I was excited about tonight. One, to talk to you, but also to get dolled up and talk to the people because, as I told you before when we were talking earlier, I believe that my skin color has kind of changed some, not because I've been in the sun, but from the lack of sun, maybe, or something like that. So, man, I have to go buy new makeup and stuff now.
Oh wow.
I don't know. Yeah, because my legs are a different color and stuff like that. Usually in the summertime, we get these nice bronze looking. Yeah. None of
You didn't get it this year. You
that.
didn't get it
No,
this year.
not
Okay.
this year.
So for those of you who may not know, Miss Ursula is definitely a riot. She has been putting up some amazingly funny videos
Oh.
throughout the pandemic. And so, I know that you are a professor, and in addition
Hmm.
to that, and entertaining us all with your comedy flair, what
Right.
else has kept you busy during the pandemic?
Oh, sorry. Listen, I'm sorry. Look, I don't want everybody to be looking at me doing this thing, but this is what I do when I work out. When I wear these doing workout, I
Mm-hmm.
do this the entire time because I have ears that are not made for these, or something like that. During the pandemic, I've been doing a lot. I've been taking classes.
Okay.
I have been teaching classes. So now, with everything being online now, we have
Mm-hmm.
this wonderful, great gift of being able to teach acting and teach drama and all sorts of things online. Last night, I took a healthy foods class with Growing Cobb, which is an organization here in Orangeburg, South Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
where they are trying to work with health disparities in the African American community. So we are learning how to cook healthy food, but we're doing it viral. Usually it's in person. And
And
we
you gonna
get
say that after I told you before that we started that I had fried chicken in the house. And
well,
you just gonna
listen,
just throw that all in
honey,
my
they
face.
give
I
us the money to go to the Piggly Wiggly. We get money to go to the
Ooh,
Piggly Wiggly to buy groceries
okay.
to make stuff for the thing. So I'm excited now. I didn't find this out until after I had signed up for the class.
Wait a minute, what is this
And now
again? You gonna give me some more about the Piggly
it's
Wiggly?
Growing Cobb. Look it up. They have a Facebook page, and they usually give out produce. They give
Mm-hmm.
out fresh produce from the farmers market at least maybe 4 times, and I think it's every Saturday or something like that. But they're always giving out fresh produce and stuff because part of their nonprofit and part of their job is to make sure that people in the community, especially during this time, have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. I don't
Right.
know if you know that Orangeburg, I think, is considered to be a food desert, which
Right.
means that we don't have the ability to get in the same levels of food that people do in other locations.
So all of
So,
Orangeburg or certain pockets?
see,
Because I'm familiar with food. I'm very familiar with food deserts, and that's one of the
right.
reasons why
And see,
most
I
of
don't really think that we are, but
okay.
I'm not the one who, because look at me. Do I look like I have deserted food? So, I think it really has to do because Orangeburg County is the largest county in South Carolina, and it encompasses lots of little towns. And so
Okay.
the little towns have to come to Orangeburg to get things.
Hmm.
So when they look at Orangeburg County, parts of it can be considered a food desert. So they can't say, oh, this portion. So they just look at the Orangeburg County. And I think that is how they make that assumption. I'm not exactly sure, but as long as they consider it, we are here to get fresh fruits and vegetables. Who doesn't want fresh fruits and vegetables, especially if they're free?
Right.
And they come straight, I think, from the farmer's market.
So they're really good. It's the real
Yes,
nice fresh stuff.
yes, yes,
Yeah, that is
yes,
awesome.
they're good. So you don't have to do a whole bunch of scrubbing to get all of the protective wax and all
Mhm.
the other stuff off of them. So
Well, awesome. So,
yes.
we just been, everyone in the audience, they have been privy to our conversation about the Dollar Tree and the DIY and the vegetables. But talk to me a little bit about your journey. You are teaching drama now. How did you
Hmm.
know you wanted to be in this field?
Wow. I was born to do this. I really could not do anything else. I could go to work and do something else and then pretend that I'm acting while I'm at my job, which is
Oh,
what I
wow.
did a lot of times. And especially every college major, maybe not now, but every kind of major, every college student has had the experience of being a telemarketer. And so did telemarketing, and the lady said to me all the time. So I really didn't like telemarketing
Mhm.
because I didn't want to lie to the people, and just my personality. And the lady would always say when she was listening to my stuff, "You're a drama major. You should have lots of energy, and you should do all this." I'm like, "Ma'am, we are bothering these people at dinner time. We are bothering these people, and they're getting angry with me, and I'm just not dealing with this very well, those
Mhm.
kind of things." But I mean, I've done that. So everything that I've done as a job, I approached it as if I were an actor who was hired to do this job. I
Mm-hmm.
was head daytime waitress and stuff. So all of my life has been about the arts. I started at a very young age. At I think it was I was 6 or 7, and I wrote a poem. It's I can't even remember the poem, but it was a really simple poem. And my mother, who was classically trained opera singer, who was the church organist. She played piano for funerals at a funeral home from the age of 15. She's been singing and doing all this stuff all of her life. So performance was not something that she um, would make me withdraw from, because sometimes people don't want you to be an actor or an actress
Mm-hmm.
because they go like, well, how are you going to feed your family? How are you going to make money? You don't need to go to school for that and all these other things like that. But I'm blessed that I had a mother who saw that I had a gift and allowed me to go into that area. So after I wrote this poem, I showed it to her, and I got up in front of the church and read my poem. And that is the first time I performed. And in our family, we don't do it now, but we used to have a show at Christmas. So all of my aunts, uncles, all my cousins, we would all come to my grandmother's house, and then we would go and we would get my grandmother's good towels and her good linen, and we would wrap ourselves in them, and we would do the nativity scene. And then we would do the nativity scene, and whoever was the baby that year, if we had a new baby or whatever, then they would be baby Jesus and everything. And then we decide who would be Mary and all stuff like this. And then you had to do a talent. And so I would do a poem or we do a song, and the boys would all do Silent Night by the Temptation. I mean, for 10,
In my
15 years.
mind.
Yeah. And they do a little dance with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's all they ever did. They never did anything else. But okay, now when everybody else wanted to stop, I was like, no, we have to keep going. And I wanted to keep going. And we did stuff at our church. And I did stuff in elementary school. And so this has been something I've wanted to do, really all my life. And what I've been doing all my life. I really could not see myself doing anything else. Teaching and doing drama, writing, producing, working in the arts. I've also taught African American art and when I was in Greensboro, North Carolina, I taught African American art in the what they call the projects or the homes, and I loved it because I was doing art. Any place where I can be creative is where I want to be. Uh, I'm also a very creative thinker. So I like doing think tanks also, where we
Mm-hmm.
do creative thinking on how we can resolve problems. And what the world really needs right now is creative thinkers. So, parents, if you're listening and you have that child who is always trying to come up with something new, tearing up your stuff to make new things, I want you to nurture that creativity because that creativity could make them millions. The
Mm-hmm.
world needs people who can think outside of the box. This is outside of the box. Don't you think so, Angela?
Oh yeah.
This, having
Absolutely.
this moment and the moments we had during the pandemic have been outside of the box. People who cannot get outside of the box have been lost. But those of us who live outside of the box on an everyday basis,
Mm-hmm.
this is like, yeah, love it.
So this series, Leading My Best Life, is all
Hmm.
about looking at leadership in a somewhat non-traditional way. I think
Hmm.
oftentimes, if you were to Google leadership and look up Google images, not often would you see much diversity. And
Hmm.
aside from the lack of diversity, you may not even see a lot of diversity in terms of types of careers or positions. And so
Hmm.
thinking about what you have done with your career, creating your own production company, even having your own one woman show. What
Hmm.
inspired you to create your own path?
Hmm. It was not a conscious decision. It was a decision that was made for me when I was born. And let me tell you what I mean by that. So you want to go,
Okay.
oh God, I came out with this. This is who I am. It's not something I constructed. It is the evolution of who I have become. I could not write. I've been writing for forever. So writing a one woman show, that was just the next thing, and doing what done. I've done a lot of great things through the grace of God. I really had a really great career. I've been professor of the year at the university I work at just recently. I'm now a full professor. And I've done so many great things in terms of my teaching career. I've done a lot of great things, but now I'm really working on some other things in the area where of my dreams when I was the 6-year-old kid, 7-year-old, 10, up until 20. I used to watch the Oscars. We would gather around the TV and we would watch the Oscars. And it would always be my dream to be in television and film. And I've done some of that stuff in the past. And then I concentrated really on what I'm doing now on my teaching career and on theater and in writing and producing work. And now I'm moving into the other realm where I am doing more things with television and film and marching out on my career as an actress. So now I've been acting for most of my life. Now I'm just changing venues.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always been born to do this. So everything I do really is an evolution of who I am. It's always been a part of who I am. If you tell someone, hey, Ursula is doing this, they're never surprised. If they said Ursula is opening up a fried chicken restaurant, they would be shocked. But but now everything that I'm doing now, none of it is a surprise. And so this is kind of where I am, and I'm loving it. I'm loving all the great things that are happening in my life right now. And even during the pandemic, I have some great things going on, some awesome things happening in this time when people think life has stopped. It hasn't. Life can begin for you again in a new way if you make that choice and you make that decision.
Gotcha.
There's still lots of people giving out classes and doing all the stuff, free classes. Oh, I'm also taking a class on how to write songs. And it's a free class
Okay.
from this
Okay.
place in England, from a school in England, University of Sheffield, I think it is. But so I'm doing that. I'm taking great acting classes and I'm learning so much stuff. But at the beginning of this, I was shocked. I
Mm-hmm.
was immobile for a moment because I just didn't know what it meant.
Right.
But as time went on, I could see that this is still an opportunity. And when George Flood, when he Floyd, when he, oh man, when all of that happened with him, and then the Black Lives Matter issues exploded, I had to begin to look at my life differently because all of the fears and all of the worries and the things that I had repressed for most of my life, living a life as a Black woman, all came bubbling up. And I wanted to put it into something artistic. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to put it in something so that it could move other people, but I couldn't do that yet because I had to realize what this was coming up out of me. And it was the fear
Mm.
that I
Okay.
had been living with for most of my life. I've been fired from a job because I was African American and because I was fat. They said I was too fat to work at the place. And the manager hired me and they said they weren't hiring any more Black people. The manager hired me and the son of the owners came into the place and he told her, either she goes or you go. And she said, Ursula, I got kids. I can't. And I said, man, I understand. I understand what this is. I've been stopped by police officers and my heart has dropped into into the bottom of my feet where they just trying to pick something out to write up something. I've had some experiences, and then there are times because I travel where there are things and stuff that you can't, places you cannot go as an African American woman driving by yourself or going by yourself. And then I've seen and had things happen to students, to to family members. And so, as a Black woman, I have children that I didn't give birth to, and I have young Black men who I have embraced as my own, and I've had fears for them. And
Mm-hmm.
I've had discussions with them about all of the fears and everything. So when everything happened and there was this explosion, someone said, it's like someone finding out that your husband has been abusing you all this time. And now the cover's finally off and everyone can see
Mm.
what you've been going through. And so I had to stay there for a moment just so that I could mourn what it meant for me personally.
Okay.
Now we're moving into what we can do as a community. And I am working with the young people that I work with, and instilling in them some great things about who you are, your self-worth, and Black Lives Matters, but your life matters. So we have the whole in entirety of the African American race, very important. But what about you, baby? What about this young person? You matter. How many times are we telling our young ladies that they are princesses, that you are worth the wait, you are worth being treated with regalness, you are worth so much more? How many times are we telling our young men that they are a princess? And what does that even mean to them? That they are worth the time that we take to pour into them? Because a lot of things happen to people when they have not valued who they are. And that is part of, to me, the Black Lives Matter movement also.
Oh yeah.
So not only are we fighting against systemic racism, but what we also need to do is talk to our young people, talk to ourselves, talk to the people around us, reassure everyone of their self-worth and that they are worthy of being loved. And then that changes the atmosphere around you. And then you won't allow certain things to happen because your self-worth has gone up. So would you take a diamond, toss it across the room, do everything to the diamond?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it can stand it, but it is valuable
Right.
and
Absolutely.
you can lose it. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's some of the things that I'm doing and working with young people and working with my students.
Okay. Edwin has a question for you.
Okay. Oh, listen, I know I have been having conversations about um what we do now for those
Mm-hmm.
people who are artists who are not making money.
Mm-hmm.
Now is a great time for you to get out and to find different ways to make money. As one of my friends said, I'm going out here to get this pandemic money because people are still buying.
Yes, they are.
I know people who started businesses and everything during a pandemic. You started a business and it's going well. Yes, you can do that. So we have to reconfigure who we are and what we think we are. As
Mm-hmm.
an artist, most artists have the ability to be chameleons. So that means they can change up with situations.
Right.
So think about how can you change it up. I've been talking with the South Carolina Theater Association with the people, and we've been talking about those theater companies that have brick and mortar buildings.
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing? Because now they don't have people coming into the doors.
Right.
And so we have been talking collectively about what can we do
Mm-hmm.
to help ease the pain of losing this money. But we've also been talking about how can we make the theaters in South Carolina, or to make the South Carolina Theater Association and to make the art community in South Carolina more responsible to the African Americans who create art in South Carolina.
Oh, well,
So
that
we've
is.
been having big discussions, and
Mm-hmm.
not just discussions, but we have moved out and we're going to launch something pretty soon. So and it's, yeah, it's going to be great. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting until we get all the little trademark stuff done and everything. And what we launch is going to be something for us to celebrate what happens in South Carolina.
Oh, that's awesome. Edward has another question for you.
Okay. And when I do both,
Okay.
not only do I do longhand, writing on paper, I do it on computer.
Hmm.
Sometimes when I'm writing songs and things of that nature, I sing it onto a voice memo. If I have a monologue or something that I'm trying to do, I get a lot of inspiration while I'm driving. So I put it on voice memo and I go into the monologue, to the song, or whatever idea that I have, I put it down because sometimes ideas can be fickle. So
Right.
when you get that gift of the germination of an idea, I don't want it to leave me. And I want to be able to pick it up and let it be planted in the ground and germinate. So I try to capture it right then. So I can do either one.
All right. So, well, this is a question for both of us. It's
Right.
like, what keeps me centered and strong throughout my career? For me, definitely my faith and my family.
Mm-hmm.
I would say my faith and my family, and then oftentimes it's really like a reflection on what I have done to remember what I can do, what is
Mm-hmm.
possible. There are times that when there seems to be a season of drought, because as
Mm-hmm.
artists, sometimes it can feel like feast or famine. So I know that, looking back on, what I've done and what I've done with very little, just reminding myself of those
Mm-hmm.
things that will keep me going. Like, well, how did you do this? You didn't have this and you were able to accomplish that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I do it. But what about you, Ursula?
Yes, you go back and check the record. The
Mhm.
same
Yeah,
thing, check the record. It will also have a great support system. My
yeah.
family already considers me to be a superstar, and I'm in agreement with them.
All right.
And right, but also too, I have friends who are in the art world, and we check in on each other. We have conversations, and those things kind of keep us centered. I think the best place to do really is my faith is really a strong spot for me, but also my church family, because I am a I've been planted in a place away from my natural family. So my church family has now become like my natural family. And so
Mhm.
they are a great support system here where I'm located. And so I have so many opportunities to have that be centered and to have love flow to me, and it's great. It's wonderful. Of course, we also have this opportunity right now to keep us centered and to flow love to each other for between Angela and myself. And so these kind of opportunities are great for this too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
Edwin need him a talk show, don't
listen, Edwin is the bomb. And,
he? I
I
love
think
it.
about some of the questions that, he's asked of guests. Like I said, he's a very loyal supporter. There are people like,
I
oh,
love
that was a
it.
really good question. So
Yes, they are. That's what I was saying. Come on, Edwin. I love it. Thank you so much. I listen,
definitely.
Angela. I am a talker. I'm a
Hmm.
professor. I can lecture for an hour and a half. So I am adept at talking.
Hmm.
But I tell people, I say, baby, you can't beat me talking, honey, because I have been doing this for 25 years. And
Right.
Lord, uh, I started when I was a kid.
Right. Carry the one.
Yes,
I
yes.
got you. I got that now. I got that now. Well, as we get ready to wrap up for tonight, just want to ask you: do you have any projects coming up, whether that's late 2020 or early 2021, that we should be aware of?
Well, right
That
now
you can
I'm
talk
just
about.
really
Sometimes I know
listen.
we can't talk about stuff.
There's some stuff I can't talk about, but I do have some exciting news and announcement I'm going to make about finding something that's going to take me to the next level, and I'm so excited. I didn't mention this, but we talked about this earlier. But during the pandemic, I had opportunity to participate in some of the mock auditions where you would send in auditions for casting agents, just so they could be introduced to new actors and do stuff. And I did one of the auditions for um, I think it's Bloomfield Kennedy or Jason Kennedy,
Yeah.
and he's the casting director for NCIS. So he casts all of the NCIS. Well, I just thinking, they'll get a chance to see me and this will be great. Well, what happened was that Jason Kennedy took, I think it's about 30 African American actors, and he showcased us on his Instagram page for representation. Those actors who did not have agents, he put us on his page and started telling agents to come look at these people because they deserve representation. And I don't know the exact number, but I heard that maybe they had at least 30,000 entries. Because I mean,
Oh,
everybody probably did send in stuff. I sent it in. I'll tell you how long ago. I sent it in May.
yeah. I
I heard
remember
from
that
them.
call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I heard from them maybe 3 weeks ago or about a month ago. So it probably
Mm.
took them all that time to go through all of the things. And then Jason Kennedy contacted me, and I was like, are you kidding? Yes, I would love to be a part of this. Yes. And so what he was pushing is that we have African American actors who don't have agents, and these people are worthy of having agents. And so I have been blessed to meet some wonderful people because of the kindness of Jason Kennedy. And, you know, this wouldn't have happened, or
Hmm.
maybe it wouldn't have happened in this way if we had not gone through the pandemic and if we had not had some of the things that have happened. So there were blessings that came out of this moment for me. I met wonderful people. Jason Kennedy, one of the top casting directors in Los Angeles, said that Ursula Robinson was worthy of a great agent. And so I am ecstatic about that. I am thankful to the Lord for having the gift and for Him giving me favor with everyone. So that's been a wonderful experience for me, something that I can take back to my students and talk to them about perseverance.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
at the time when I did the audition, I was still going through my whole, what are we going to do with this pandemic? and my teammate, Deneen Rochelle, she said, come on, do these auditions. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this one and I'm going to do this one. I think I did two, but there were so many of them.
Hmm.
And thank God I chose the right one.
Absolutely. Well,
Yes.
I'm sure that you will have an update.
Yes.
Ursula's Instagram is scrolling at the bottom of the page. So definitely connect with her. Again, she is putting out some great, funny content, consistent
Yes.
content on social media. Of course, she is a professor. She has a one-woman show. And pretty soon she will have some new representation. And
Yes.
I know that that will be an announcement that she'll make, once she makes that
Yes.
final decision on social media. So, Ursula, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy
Angela,
schedule to hang
thank
out
you
with
for
us
having me. Angela, I talked the entire time. And listen, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything else, but I had plenty to say.
tonight. You got one more final question, real quick from Edwin before we wrap.
Oh, Edwin, when people see my neck, they automatically think that I can blow. But
No, you
Edwin,
do
I
not.
tell you what I can do is I can give you the worst lounge singer you've ever heard. But
Mm.
I can give you stage. I can give you fire. I can give you emotion. But I might not give you notes. Yes, I understand. A lot of people say nail Carter energy, honey. But I can do the nail Carter really fast. Find out what they like and how they like it, and let them have it just their way. Really fast songs.
Real fast song, real fast song. That is hilarious. I miss Nell Carter. Lord knows I do.
Yes, she was awesome.
Hmm. Well, all
Thank
right,
you,
Ursula.
Edwin.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you
you, Miss
again for
Angela.
taking. You're
I
welcome. I
appreciate
appreciate
you.
you hanging out with us tonight and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yes, same to you, dear.
Bye
Love you,
bye.
Queenie.
Love you too. Well, that's it for this Hump Day edition of the Angela Ray Show. As always, I would like to remind you of rare motivation number 54. Cleaning a mirror does not change the person who is reflected in it. Until next time, I encourage you all to go out and be the change. Have a great evening.